What up, WeHo? This year, Easter falls on April Fool's Day, so you know what that means. Do not trust the Easter Bunny.
Closer.
Welcome to WeHoTV News. Spring has sprung, West Hollywood. I'm Mike Suriaco, and I'm bringing you everything you need to know about WeHo, courtesy of the city of West Hollywood. And if your circadian rhythm is still reeling from daylight savings time, you may have missed some important news. Don't sweat it, because I'm going to bring you up to speed with the WeHo wind-up. Let's put 30 seconds on the clock. Move over, Paris, because WeHo was burning at this year's Banjee Ball. Trump entered enemy territory when he visited the sanctuary state of California. It was a Portland, West Hollywood mashup when Carrie Brownstein hit up WeHo Reads. In Los Angeles and across the country, students and allies marched for their lives, and Hollywood celebrated the 90th Annual Academy Awards. The biggest winner of the night? Whomever took home Adam Rippon.
Because that's who I am. I'm a little trashy and I'm a little fun.
Nice try, Adam. But everyone knows A Little Bit Trashy, A Little Bit Fun was actually an early single from Donnie and Marie Osmond. It did not sell well. Now let's change out of that tuxedo harness and into these news briefs. Through the month of March, the city of West Hollywood celebrated Women's History Month with a series of street pole banners featuring historic females, including Maxine Waters, Harriet Tubman, and Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hey Hill, I know it's not the same as getting to be president, but think of it as your silver medal. On March 18th, runners in the Los Angeles Marathon passed through West Hollywood on their way to the finish line in Santa Monica. Similarly, on March 18th, I spent 13 hours marathoning through the new season of Jessica Jones on Netflix. Don't worry, I carbo-loaded. In environmental news, on March 23rd, the Heidi Duckler Dance Company performed Once in a Whale, a site-specific dance production at the Pacific Design Center's Blue Building, aka The Whale, to raise awareness of climate change. The performance was personally choreographed by Heidi Duckler herself and featured 5 professional dancers from the company. And I believe we have a clip.
Earth, fire, wind, water, heart.
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. Go Planet!
Oh, Alvin Ailey, eat your heart out. On March 24th, Classical Theater Lab, with the support of the City of West Hollywood's WeHo Arts program, presented a staged reading of the 18th century satirical play, A School for Scoundrels, at Coast Playhouse. Written by Richard Brinsley Sheridan, the plot delivers a scathing rebuke of the idle rich who spend their time squabbling amongst themselves and bad-mouthing each other behind their backs. You may know the play better by its original title, The Real Housewives of 1777. And finally, on March 25th, Puppet Theater on Wheels presented English and Russian language performances of the children's classic Puss in Boots at the Plummer Park Community Center. Now remember, this is West Hollywood, so those boots were Christian Louboutins, and they were fabulous. Now let's kick off those boots and slide out of these news briefs. April is National Poetry Month, which is great because West Hollywood loves poets. So much so that the city has its own Poet Laureate, a position currently held by Kim Dower and previously by openly gay poet Stephen Rains. In honor of this theme, we now present our Ode to LGBT Poets. Sappho, beloved daughter of the ancient Isle of Lesbos, from your mind sprung the Ode to Aphrodite. In an ancient era of chauvinistic savagery, you proved both pen and woman were mighty. Michelangelo, the quintessential Renaissance man, you painted the Sistine Chapel's ceiling up above. But we shan't forget the 300 sonnets you wrote for your many young male loves. Walt Whitman, the linchpin between transcendentalism and realism. This 19th century American poet was ahead of his time. Some criticized Leaves of Grass as, quote, trashy, profane, and obscene. But you taught the rest of us that same-sex love is no crime. Sapphire. Before her novel Push was adapted into the film Precious, poetry by this bisexual woman of color gave a voice to the most abused and invisible among us. And now for some poetry in motion, we go now to Eddie Robinson.
It's tins across the board in West Hollywood for Purple Crush's Banjee Ball. I'm Eddie Robinson, and this is WeHoTV News. Co-sponsored by the City of West Hollywood, Get Prep LA, and the Los Angeles LGBT Center, Purple Crush's reboot of the popular Banjee Ball recently took place in the West Hollywood Park Auditorium. This Vogue and runway event has served as a signature gathering for the local ballroom community for over 4 years. Purple Crush's Isla Cheadle tells us why.
The point of ballroom was when it started, almost 100 years ago, was it being a safe space for trans women and for gay men. And so that's what it is for me, is what it is for everybody. It's a safe space to express yourself.
Because ballroom events are an opportunity for members of the vivid LGBT community to be seen, heard, loud, and proud about who they are, this event is an opportunity to bring awareness to the community about our sexual health. MC of the ball, the legendary Eniche Ebony, explains.
I just hope everybody have fun, which they're going to, because I'm on a mic. Also, I just hope everybody, leaves with knowing about PrEP, because I'm going to actually explain it on the mic and tell people about PrEP and just, about protecting yourself and stuff. They're going to leave educated.
Participants loved expressing themselves through the art of Vogue and winning cash prizes in a variety of new categories for their artistry.
When you walk the runway, I think the best thing that you feel is you feel like you have that moment in the spotlight. And for once, no matter where you're coming from, what your life is all about, you are like the most important thing in that moment. To have people around you supporting you and cheering you on, it's empowering. It's a beautiful thing.
For more information on upcoming cultural events in the city of West Hollywood, visit WeHo.org. I'm Eddie Robinson, giving you WeHo Realness for WeHoTV News. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Eddie. Now let's give it up for everyone's favorite drag mother, Mother Earth. On April 22nd, the city of West Hollywood celebrates Earth Day, the annual commemoration of environmental protection. This day is especially crucial in light of the fact that Trump's EPA administrator, Scott Pruitt, has spent the last year hamstringing his own agency. While the Legion of Doom that is our federal government is busy turning our rivers into toilets for mining waste, it's up to us to lead the way in environmental protection. One of the city of West Hollywood's core values is respect for the environment, and the city has a strong record of developing and instituting progressive and forward-thinking environmental policies. In 2007, the city of West Hollywood adopted one of the nation's first ever mandatory green building ordinances, which ensures that new buildings are healthier for residents and use energy and resources more efficiently. One of these resources is H2O. In April 2015, Governor Brown issued mandatory water restrictions for the first time ever in California's history, following a record-breaking drought. In response, the city of West Hollywood released a water conservation campaign, which included an Emmy Award-winning PSA warning viewers about how WeHo may look if citizens don't change their daily habits, like cutting back on washing your car and shortening the length of your showers. Our future would look less like the WeHo we know and more like the red waste of Essos. Another factor is climate change. While Trump withdrew from the Paris Agreement, the city of West Hollywood has joined with more than 1,000 cities and mayors to sign the U.S. Conference of Mayors Climate Protection Agreement and declare we're still committed to meeting climate goals set forth in the Paris Climate Agreement. In this vein, the city of West Hollywood has launched Go Solar West Hollywood, a program that encourages homeowners to convert to solar power. Hey, the sun is useful for more than just tanning while you day drink by the pool. And remember, in order to protect the environment, to paraphrase the Miguel song Skywalker, celebrate every day like an Earth Day. That means when you Uber, it better be with a hybrid. And while you're out and about, be sure to say hi to Nick Catelli.
Finding your rideshare at the end of the night is, well, it's a struggle. It's like trying to find Where's Waldo when the page is just nothing but Waldos. I'm Nick Catelli for WeHoTV News, and we're going to check out The Drop, which is West Hollywood's new designated rideshare curb zones. What?
The Drop curb zones are the first of their kind in the region and address concerns about congested traffic lanes and double parking, which, as we all know, can block traffic flow. The drop launched with 12 pilot locations based on data that identifies areas that are high-volume rideshare use during the evenings and nights. These new curb zones can be found in spots such as Robertson, Melrose, Santa Monica Boulevard, and Sunset, and include locations on the city's west side, mid-city, and east side. When you're ready to go, you just open up your favorite rideshare app and select the drop zone closest to you. Your driver will know exactly where to pick you up, and like they say in romantic comedies, whisk you away. Or probably take you home.
For more information about the drop zones and their locations, feel free to visit WeHo.org. Again, I'm Nick Catelli for WeHoTV News, and I'm going to wait here at the drop because I just booked my ride, and we're going to Mexico. Actually, I'm probably just going to go back to my apartment.
Thanks, Nick. Now let's head over to the One Gallery and meet up with Asher Rodriguez.
I'm Asher Rodriguez, and this is WeHoTV News. And I'm at the newly renovated One Gallery for the reception for Lost and Found Safer Sex Activism, an exhibit that examines 30 years of safer sex and harm reduction activism. Employing the vast collection of archival items from one national gay and lesbian archives, Lost and Found Safer Sex Activism presents roughly 100 historical works, including PSAs, safer sex posters, brochures, comics, and clean needle kits that were created at the height of the AIDS epidemic in an effort to shatter the stigma and misconception that surrounded the deadly disease. Instead of stigmatizing sexuality, activist groups, artists, and public health agencies took the bold approach of embracing sex-positive practices and calling out those who sat idly by.
We have a consultant for this exhibition. His name is Dr. Neil Baer, and he developed the concept of Lost and Found so we could really uplift the voices that we've lost, but also highlight the knowledge and the resources that we've found. I think it's really important, especially because people think AIDS is over, and it's not, especially here in Los Angeles County. The rates for men who sleep with men, especially in communities of color, are extremely high. So it's, I think, really important that the archives has these materials that we can share with the broader public and share with the next generation.
Since its incorporation, the City of West Hollywood has been a leading voice in the fight against HIV and AIDS, and in 2016, they pledged their support to eradicating the disease by establishing an HIV Zero initiative. Events like Lost and Found Safer Sex Activism prove that the city remains committed to educating and supporting its diverse community. The exhibit, Lost and Found Safer Sex Activism, will be on display until June 24th, and it's free to the public. For more information about city-sponsored events, visit WeHo.org. Reporting from One Gallery in West Hollywood, I'm Asher Rodriguez for WeHoTV News.
Thanks, Asher. The One Gallery isn't the only West Hollywood institution championing for HIV and AIDS activism. WeHoans living with HIV and AIDS are also feeling the love from the city's dispensaries. On April 20th, marijuana enthusiasts here in West Hollywood and across the country celebrate 420, the quasi-official day dedicated to dank nugs. This year, it also coughs smoke in the face of Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who's waging a war on weed, even though, according to the CDC, there were over 64,000 drug overdose deaths in 2016. While 20,000 of them were from synthetic opioids, none of them were from marijuana. Even harsher is the fact that the DEA categorizes marijuana as a Schedule I drug, which means it's considered to be highly addictive and deemed as having no medical use. This is debatable, seeing that many patients living with HIV and AIDS use cannabis to combat symptoms like pain, nausea, and loss of appetite. That's why the City of West Hollywood implemented a compassion program, which requires WeHo dispensaries to provide subsidized cannabis for low-income patients. In celebration of 420 and WeHo's compassion program, we're taking a field trip to the Apple Store dispensaries, MedMen, for this month's Mic Drop. We are here at MedMen, the Apple Store of weed, to talk to its co-founder, Andrew Maudlin, as he puff passes us some info about WeHo's Compassionate Care program. Let's check it out. How old were you when you first tried weed?
I first tried weed when I was, I think, 18. and got into having our first dispensary probably when I was about 23, 24.
Of these 7 locations you have in California, why did you choose West Hollywood for one of them?
Well, I always wanted to do a dispensary in West Hollywood because personally I love West Hollywood. I've lived here for a very long time now, and it's the best city in the world.
Andrew and his fellow weed enthusiasts have good reason to love WeHo. In 1996, West Hollywood was one of the earliest supporters of Prop 215, aka the Medical Use of Marijuana Initiative, and while the DEA refuses to acknowledge the medical benefits of cannabis, numerous studies support the effectiveness of weed in treating pain, nausea, and loss of appetite. Symptoms common to the estimated 2,500 West Hollywood residents living with HIV or AIDS. That's why the city of West Hollywood implemented a compassion program, requiring its dispensaries to provide subsidized marijuana for low-income patients. So, what do we got over on that wall?
So over on that wall we have topicals, tinctures, vaginal suppositories.
Hold up, did you say suppositories? Okay, so what can WeHo citizens do to help the mainstreaming of weed?
Probably mainly just who you vote for federally, and making sure the right people in place that share those types of liberal values.
While West Hollywood celebrates the accessibility of marijuana, some view it as a threat, specifically Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Earlier this year, Sessions rescinded Obama-era policies that allowed states to legalize marijuana with minimal federal interference, meaning dispensaries could once again be targeted for DEA raids, like the one in 2007. Right now, our Attorney General is, for some illogical reason, waging a war on weed. Are you afraid down the line that he might start targeting California, or somehow his horrible policies might start affecting MedMen?
I think it would just be so difficult for him at this point. Over 64% of Americans are in favor of marijuana.
So, looking into the future, where do you see MedMen going?
Well, MedMen's goal is to mainstream marijuana, which to me means being everywhere to give people the same types of products with the same type of quality and the same type of convenience.
But to do that, WeHo's cannabis community needs to get out and vote, which means getting as excited for Election Day as you are for 420. Let's wrap this up before the munchies kick in. We'll be back next month for more news, noise, and nonsense. Until then, keep it cute, WeHo.